You're a professor in a world-class business school. You teach well, but how can you create a really great live training program? Some years ago, I was involved in an in-company event at a famous golf course in Spain. Now, everywhere I turned, there was a phrase, making a difference. It was everywhere. Now, I completely understand the drive to encourage and inspire people to make a difference. This matters. But it was a little over the top, because the phrase making a difference was on the nameplates where we sat. It was on the pens that we wrote with. It was on our name badges. It was on mouse mats all around. It was on shoulder bags that we carried from room to room. And it was even on our baseball caps. It was everywhere, making a difference. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic phrase. But you know, as a business school professor, as a teacher, as a designer of developmental programs, I don't care what you bolt on the outside. I want to know how you get people to bolt things on the inside. How do you get people to adopt new behaviors and new ideas for themselves? How do you lead people to make a difference? And the answer is not by plastering them from head to foot with platitudes. The answer is by crafting great and meaningful experiences, functional, cultural, and inspiring. I'm just back from an intensive few days at INSEAD Business School in France, Fontainebleau in the Forest, where the International Teachers Programme is just underway. The ITP is to help faculty, professors, and lecturers from the world's best business schools to become even better teachers. Now, we know business schools are driven by great research, but how they teach is also mission critical. You can't divorce the two. So what happened over this weekend just past? Well, Nana von Bernuth, one of the program directors, introduced a great session with Felipe Montero on case teaching. And he was able to flip in and out of what to do and how he was doing it with a running commentary side by side. It was amazing to experience. And there was another session with Didi Hopkins from the National Theatre of Great Britain. Now, that was on how to use your body, your voice, your presence as a teacher. Teaching is a performing art, after all. Another great experience. Now, my key takeaway from these two sessions as a program designer is to ensure that the live events you're creating should include a blend of what to do, how to do it, and why. What's the benefit to your participants? And this needs to be embedded in each element of the event. What, how, and why? Because it's the complexity and the multi-layered nature of your events that is so powerful. Experiencing these events at multiple levels is what matters. Well, otherwise you may as well just read a book on the topic for far less effort. But there's more to creating a great developmental event even than this. And especially if you're running an international event where you're inviting people from all over the world to a single location. Well, then you need to create experiences that are cultural as well as functional, and that helps make them inspiring. The evening we arrived, we played pétanque. It sounds innocuous enough, but a passionate advocate explained how to play the game and broke us up into teams, and we played pétanque. An apparently trivial exercise. But let's look deeper at how it's functional, cultural, and inspiring. Well, first, the function of the pétanque evening was as an introduction to the event and the location, yes, but more than that, it was an introduction to each other, and in a very friendly way. It was fun. This was also a cultural experience. Pétanque, developed by the French. Champagne, French, orange juice if you prefer. And we were in the grounds of the Cercle, an amazing example of the Belle Époque architecture found in Fontainebleau. So, French summer evening, great surroundings, great company, functional, cultural, and inspiring. On the second day, we travelled further into the forest of Fontainebleau, to the Château de Corrence, and we broke up into groups of 6 and were put through a series of experiential exercises. You probably know the kind of thing: ropes, pipes, blindfolds. Some people see this as purely for team building, but that isn't necessarily the case. But it is about creating experiences that we can then learn from. What just happened? why? Why do you think? But we also explored how to manage and lead these kinds of exercises. Thomas Helwig was leading our group, and very quickly he established, in a light-hearted way, by the way, how we were going to make sense of our experiences without blame or accusations. And I think it's this area of debriefing our teaching experiences and translating the lessons back into lessons for the classroom or the workplace that we got the most from. And did I say we were in the grounds of a chateau, overlooking a Japanese garden, and lunching in a large French cart hovel, or so it seemed? The place itself added to the experience. So, functional, demonstrating and allowing us to experience deeply experiential forms of education. Cultural, in the heart of the French countryside, and inspiring, giving and receiving powerful and personal feedback in a wonderful location, while watching experts deliver and manage multiple groups of participants. Now, trying to keep track of all the lessons I was learning, both the explicit and the implicit lessons, was incredibly hard. So once again, an event, a meaningful event on multiple levels, at once functional, cultural, and inspiring. Now, I don't even have time to tell you about the wine tasting. But on the final morning, we rose at 5 a.m. We're driven out again into the French countryside, this time for a balloon trip. Antonio, our pilot, explained how he couldn't steer the balloon, another French invention, by the way, but that he could change the height of the balloon so he could climb high over the forest, at one point even over our fellow balloonists. So perhaps this was less an intellectual and knowledge-based experience, more a pure emotional experience. The basket was quiet as we rose and fell over the viaduct, over the fields of sunflowers. And then we had champagne and croissant on landing. A few jokes now about maximizing the learning. But this was something else again, something other than simply maximizing the learning. This was a shared experience. I understood it now. The culmination of a series of shared experiences, each one building on the last. And looking at the men and women in the basket with me and sharing breakfast on the ground, I realized that this was ultimately about the creation of a community of like-minded professors who share a passion for teaching and a desire to share that passion with their students, whether that's master's level or executives in executive education. Now, if you want to discover more about the passion of teaching and how you can become an even better world-class teacher, you need to watch this video right now. More French culture.